So Karim Benzema just won the Ballon d'Or, and this is not surprising at all. I think everyone knew this way in advance before the ceremonies that actually happened yesterday. What really was shocking, though, who took second, which was Mane from Liverpool, who now is at Bayern Munich, which, yes, he had a great season. Yes, they did win African Cup. And yes, Senegal did make it into the World Cup, beating Egypt. Mohamed Salah losing both those matches, but still, I would argue that there's some other players out there that probably should have taken second and maybe third. I know Kevin De Bruyne was a phenomenal player this past season, but really, when you look at the rest of the season that did happen, I have a hard time understanding how Courtois does not take second or third place. Now, yes, I understand he is a goalkeeper, which is always difficult to rate him amongst defenders, midfielders, and especially attacking players, because as a goalkeeper, you're obviously not scoring goals. You're not really picking up any assists. All you really have are clean sheets and blocks. And pretty much when you look at that, it's difficult to understand it. But the fact is, Courtois was massive for Real Madrid last season. Not, again, Benzema, obviously the bigger person right there, scoring how many goals and very important goals for Real Madrid. But Courtois kept Real Madrid in so many games last season that, again, I think he deserved to be in the top three. Yes, like I said, he is a goalkeeper, but we've seen goalkeepers be in the top three. We've seen Buffon back in 2006, who took second place. We also see Neuer as of recently, who again was in the top three. Now, that being said, though, some other players who I think could have possibly made this list, Robert Lewandowski. Now, I know, yes, he plays in the Bundesliga, and it's always difficult to rate the Bundesliga, but really, when you look at that, scoring 50 goals in an entire season, again, is just mind-boggling. Those are numbers that only Messi and Ronaldo have put up. Now, when you compare him to those players, again, you would think that he would rate himself in the top three, but for some reason, again, being in the Bundesliga somehow negates most of that. Yes, I know Bayern Munich did crash out of the Champions League. They probably should have went further, but again, struggled and somehow did not get very far in the Champions League. They got to the knockout stage and then lost the first round. So again, maybe that did implement the reason why Lewandowski didn't get moved up into the top three. But that being said, I do want to talk about who is going to win the next Ballon d'Or, because again, Benzema won it. We need to talk about the next one because obviously that's what most people do. Now, this next award will have the World Cup, which again, as we know, plays a massive effect in who gets selected for this. As we saw with Modric winning in 2018/19, with Croatia making it to the final, even though they did not win it, I think this gave him that massive push to win the award. And therefore, again, with the World Cup, there are multiple players who I could see that could win it. Now, I'm going to talk about three players in general who I think can win the Ballon d'Or. Now, again, we obviously have the World Cup, Champions League, and then also whatever league the player is in. But still, we're going to talk about the World Cup as being the heavy favorite to whoever wins it or / has the Golden Boot. Now, my first guy who I think has the best chance and, again, should maybe have won the award maybe at one point is Neymar. This guy, I know this might be his last time with Brazil at the World Cup. He is getting up there in age, is injury prone, but really, this is his best chance to possibly win the Ballon d'Or because Brazil are one of the heavy favorites going into this World Cup. And therefore, if Neymar can win with Brazil, which there's so much talent around this Brazilian team, and he wins the gold boot, this again would already solidify him up in the top three for the most part. But that being said, PSG also have a good chance this year to not only win their league, win multiple trophies, but also win the Champions League. I'm not too sure if that can happen, but obviously if that does happen, that will then just cement Neymar. Again, World Cup, Champions League with PSG, he's winning it hands down. It doesn't matter who else we even talk about because he will win it. Now, that being said, our second player we need to talk about then is Mbappe. Yes, he also plays for PSG, but playing for France, this guy is just electric. And again, when you see what this player can do, it's hard to not think about him being in the Ballon d'Or for the next couple of seasons. Now, same thing with him with Neymar. If he does well in the World Cup, if France do quite well, even though there's been a lot of issues with France, and as we know, France usually implodes in the World Cup. I know they just won it the last time around, but that's usually when France does implode. So again, they might not make it out of the knockout stage, which that itself could be massive for Mbappe. But also along those lines, if they win it or go far, and then PSG again win the Champions League, that again will solidify him as the winner, but it all depends on how Brazil and France do in the World Cup. And then my third player, which maybe should be obvious and at the same time is not obvious, and this one there is no World Cup for him, so that's why it's going to be a massive uphill battle, is Erling Haaland. Now, what we've seen so far in the Premier League is just a freak of nature. Yes, they did just lose to Liverpool. He did not score. He hasn't scored against Liverpool or Bournemouth, but besides those two teams, he scored in every game, had back-to-back-to-back hat tricks, which again, that itself is already mind-boggling, and he's still on pace to shatter a bunch of records in the Premier League. Same thing with him then too. If he does that, wins the goal boot in the Premier League, wins the Premier League with Manchester City, which again, they are still heavy favorites, even though Arsenal is in first place right now. But the big thing is if they win the Champions League as well. So as we know, the Champions League definitely plays a factor, but he does not have a World Cup. So again, that is going to be the heavy thing that may weigh him down to not winning it this year, which is a shame because, again, Erling Haaland is one of those players that probably will win it at some point. But right now, in the near future, I think there's 3 players currently that are going to have a chance to win it. And again, that is Neymar, Mbappe, and Erling Haaland. So I want to know who you guys think will win it next season. So comment down below who you think will be, or if you think it's going to be another player. Again, there are multiple options that could happen, and it all depends with the World Cup, Champions League. But those are my 3 players right now that I think have the highest chance to winning it. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that. It helps get this video to more and more fans such as yourself. And that is it, and I will see you next time.